You want to find that drive and focus that has you locked in and on fire every single day? My book, The Mirror Motivation, will do it for you. I bought a copy for you. You take care of the shipping. The book is free. Click the link down there. I got you.
DreAllDay.com.
Let's get it. You are now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline that brings you to show up day after day, to do the work, to do the confidence, to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a little bit more. You're going to get the personal initiative, the go-getter energy that moves you to make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. Putting all this together, you get the mindset, the method, the philosophy, the book, the podcast known as Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day. Welcome to today's topic is how to do less in order to do more. This is finding the essential. This is really about finding the essential in whatever is going on in your life in order for you to focus more on that and less on the, quote, everything else that we may have going on, everything else that may possibly be available to us. Because every single day we are exposed to more, right? More applications that we could download on our phones, more ideas that we come up with, more ideas that other people share with us, more ideas that we may get just from seeing and observing what's going on in the world. More books are coming out. Every single day somebody else is writing a book. More information. Every day someone's coming with more information. Every day somebody's publishing a new episode of their podcast. More things that we are made to believe that we are missing out on. You ever get that feeling of missing out on something? Like, damn, maybe I could be doing that. I could be there. I could be at this event. I could be listening to this thing right here. Every day we get exposed to more things that we may feel on some level that we're missing out, that we're not involved in whatever is going on. And anyone who's good at sales or marketing will make you feel like you're missing out on something if you're not involved in what they have, whether that be buying their product, listening to their show, being at their event, following whatever it is that they're doing. That's what a marketer is supposed to do, is make you feel like you're missing out if you're not involved. My aim today is to show you how more in many areas of life, trying to do more or accumulate more or be involved in more or learn more, or just the phrase more, period. In many areas, more is probably not even what you need right now. You actually need less in terms of the quantities of things that you're taking in, and you're going to need more in terms of what you're focusing on. You need more focus, but on a lower quantity of things, items, ideas, probably even people. Maybe for some of you. Some of you might need more people in your life. Some of you may need fewer people in your life. You just maybe just need to get rid of some of the wrong people, a whole lot of them, and add more of the quality people. But it's much easier to do these things, what we're talking about here today, much easier to do when you're not trying to look in 5 directions all at the same time. When you're trying to do 5, 10, 20, even 2 different things at the exact same time. So the topic again today is how to do less in order to do more. I'm going to tell you exactly how you're going to figure this out. Some actionable things, as always, and I give you every single day, that you can start doing right now, starting from the inside and then moving to the outside. In other words, starting with the way that you think, then moving to the actions that you take. Point number 1. Today's topic again is how to do less in order to do more. Warren Buffett has this exercise. If you don't know who Warren Buffett is, look him up. But he's one of the richest men in the world. For many years was the richest man. I'm not sure he is right now. I think Bezos from Amazon may have passed him, but Warren Buffett's pretty up there. I think he's all right. I think he could pay for your lunch. He's worth a good tens of billions of dollars. I don't even know the exact amount. But Warren Buffett is a really well-known guy, and people tend to follow Warren Buffett's advice because in this Western world that we live in, we equate money with success. And Warren Buffett has a whole lot of money, therefore, we all see this guy as a very successful dude. So if you attach Warren Buffett's name to any piece of advice, you can probably get people to listen. So you see what I did there already. Warren Buffett said this. All right, so make sure you're listening. He said, take all the things, I want you to write a list. This is what Warren Buffett said. Write a list of all the things that you want to do, accomplish, participate in, be involved in for the rest of your life. From this point forward, no matter how old you are, make a list of all the things you want to do in your life and narrow that list down to, first of all, just make the list. All right, just write down everything you want to do. All the things you want to accomplish, all the things you want to achieve, everything you want to say when you die that you've completed. You could call it a bucket list. Doesn't have to be a bucket list. It can just be a goal list. Things you just want to achieve in life. Write them all down. All right, you did that. Now, after you've written down everything you want to do, I want you to narrow that down to 25 things. 25 things that you want to do in life. If you could only pick 25, the list might be 5. 25 things that you could do. The most important 25. Now, once you have that list of 25, I want you to go through the list and I want you to pick 5 things, the 5 most important, the 5 most valuable things. If you had to only choose 5, all right, and you are having to only choose 5, write down the 5 most important ones you could do, achieve, partake in, whatever verbiage you want to use for the rest of your life. Write down, circle the 5. You already got them written down. Circle the 5 out of that 25 that matter the most. And once you get that 5 that are circled, here's what you do. According to Warren Buffett's exercise, cross out the other 25, the other 20 of the 25, because you circled 5, 20 did not get circled. The other 20 that didn't get circled, never do them again. Never think about them again. Never get involved with them again. Never have the FOMO, fear of missing out, when it comes to those things ever again. And focus the rest of your life on just those 5 things that you circled. What's the purpose of this exercise? It's so that you can start to get more focused, more lasered in on exactly what you're doing with your life. We know that there are 5 forms of human investment: time, money, attention, energy, focus. The human limitation of focus is that we can only focus on one thing at a time. So when you're trying to focus on 500 things, which may be on your list for life, or 25 things, which may have been on your shortened list, or which was on your shortened list, it's hard to focus on 25 things at once. It's hard to be good at 25 things. It's hard to accomplish 25 different things. Not impossible, but it could be kind of hard to do that, especially if they're not directly related. They're not all in a straight line, one connecting to the other. You might have 25 things that have nothing to do with but you want to do them. There's anything wrong with having these things. What I'm saying is, it's going to be pretty damn hard for you to do all 25. You're trying to shift your focus from this thing to this thing to this thing, and you got 25 that you got to get through to feel like you accomplished everything. So if we narrow it down to 5, well, I just made your job, 5 times easier, because now you have 5 fewer things to focus on, 5 times fewer things to focus on. That's the purpose of Warren Buffett's 25-5 exercise, is what we call that. Now, I know that if you're like me, or like many of the entrepreneurs that I know, especially entrepreneurs that I know, you like having your hands in lots of things. You like to be involved in several things. Maybe you like to have more than one hustle going at the same time. I like to have more than one hustle going at the same time. Maybe you're like that, but I want you to understand, if you had to choose only one thing from everything that you do, what would it be? Of all the things that you do focus on, all the different ways you have of reaching an audience, which one would you pick? All the different ways you have of making money, which one would you focus on? All the stuff that you like to do for fun, as an example, which one would you do if you could only pick one? If you just had to narrow everything down, what would it be? If you looked at your business or your professional life, what's the one main factor that has gotten you furthest in your career? If you only had to focus on doing that for the rest of your career, there's just one thing, which one has produced the most result of all the different things you've done to advance in your career, in your life, in your profession, in your business? Which one has produced the highest ROI? If you had to just focus on one, which one would it be? You could ask yourself that question for every area of your life. Which one of all the stuff that I've done in this area has produced the highest ROI? When it comes to getting in shape, when it comes to losing weight, when it comes to meeting the right people, when it comes to making the right connections, when it comes to making money, when it comes to my happiness, when it comes to my personal energy, what's the one thing of all the stuff I've done to try to help this area, which one has produced the highest return on investment? What if I only focused on that? What would happen? This is a question that you had to be willing to ask yourself. And you know what stops a lot of people from asking themselves this question? It is not that the fear of missing out of doing all these other things. Well, actually, it is the fear of missing out, but it's really that first word, fear. The fear of not doing all the other things. The fear of not conforming to who you've always been. The fear of not sticking to the script of what you've already been doing your entire life up until this point. That fear is what stops a whole lot of people from really enacting what they get out of this Warren Buffett 25-5 exercise. That people get stuck in a certain way of being, a certain pattern of doing things, and they feel like internally, they may not express it externally, but internally, they feel like they can't get out of that habit. People develop these, and I talked about this in my book, Work on Your Game, is that 85% of our thoughts and actions are unconscious and habitual. Meaning we just do them over and over again, and we're not even consciously thinking about the fact that we're doing them, because we just get into these patterns and we just do the same thing over and over again. But the problem with doing the same thing over and over again, unless you already have everything you want in life, is that you'll never get there if you're not already there. If you're not already exactly where you want to be in life, you already don't have everything you want in life, but you're falling into these habits, these patterns of habit, then how will you ever get there? You can't, because you're going to keep doing the same thing, which has already gotten you to where you are right now. We know the saying about insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So the question is, where do you get the most joy? Where are you getting the most fulfillment? What are you best at in each area of life that you could focus on? What has the brightest future for you? Where do people respond to you most enthusiastically in your life? Just for fun, think about these questions. Maybe you don't feel like you can quite, for whatever reason, you can't quite just cut everything else out right now. Maybe you can't do 5 right now. Actually, we all can do it. But if you believe that you can't right now because of some extenuating circumstances, and maybe you could do it in 6 months, maybe you could do it next year, maybe you could do it when you make a certain amount of money, I'm gonna tell you right now, first of all, that maybe is probably gonna turn into a never. But if that's the way that you feel, here's what I'll tell you. At least play with it. Play with it in your mind and just just imagine what it would be like if you actually did it. If you actually followed through on it. This helps narrow your focus. And it's really important that we narrow our focus if you want to follow what I'm talking about here today, which is doing less in order to do more. You must narrow your focus to have fewer things to focus on, so you can do a whole lot more in the areas that you do decide to put your focus on. Point number 2. Today's topic is how to do less in order to do more. Instagram. Everybody knows what Instagram is, right? I wrote about this in my book, Work On You. There used to be an app called Bourbon, BURBN. And what they did with Instagram was before it was Instagram, they had this app called Bourbon. It was kind of like a check-in app, a mobile check-in app like Yelp or Foursquare, one of those, or Facebook has this functionality now. When you go to a certain location, you can buy location data, your app location, you can check in at a certain place, and you can build up points and all this stuff. You build up your credibility on that app by just checking in at different places that you go and things like that. That's what Bourbon was. But as the people who started the app, I believe Kevin Systrom is the founder of Instagram's name, they were looking at their metrics and how people were using it, and they're like, this is not really doing what we wanted to do. It's not getting the kind of results that we thought our app would get. And as they look through the app and they're looking at the way people are using it, they realized there was one particular function in their app that was getting more traction than every other function in the app, and that was the photos. The photos part of the app was being used by more people than anything else. So they decided, the founders of this app, Bourbon, they decided, how about we strip down everything in this app, do less, and we focus all of our energy on just this one area of the app that seems to be getting the most traction. Not seems to be, but is getting the most traction. And it was the photos section. So they stripped it all down to just the photos, and they changed the name of the app. It's not going to be Bourbon anymore. We're going to change it to Instagram. Insta and Gram. So Insta being immediate and Gram being like a telegram, a photograph. They stripped it down, relaunched the app as Instagram, and the rest became history. They did less to do more. I mentioned several times over the last few weeks, Steve Jobs, when he returned to Apple, the company that he started and had gotten subsequently kicked out of. Then they subsequently asked him to come back. And what was the first thing that he did? He fired a whole bunch of people, doing less. He got rid of a whole bunch of products that Apple was selling, doing a whole lot less. And then they did more. He started focusing even more on the few products that they were going to work on. Then eventually out of that came the 4 core products that Apple still does to this day: desktop computer, laptop computer, tablet, and a phone. That's what Apple does to this very day. 4 core products. Big company, billions of dollars. Everybody goes into the store in the mall when you see it, even if you're not buying anything. Why? Because they focused. They did less in order to do more. When you get into your areas of focus, this becomes a winning formula. And if you look up anyone who has become highly successful at what they do, I guarantee you'll see the same pattern over and over again. And it's a person who decided to focus on a specific area, or if not one, then a few specific areas that somehow work with each other. They were symbiotic. They work with each other. Something that happens here, for example, with Apple, the iPhone and the laptop, the MacBook, and the desktop, and what's the other product that they have? I can't remember what it was. But those products all work together, right? We got the Apple phone, we got the Apple computer, you got the Apple tablet, you got the desktop, and you got the laptop. They all work together. So if you make the phone better, it's probably going to make the computer better in some way. You make the tablet better, it's going to make the laptop better. They all work together. So what is your area of focus going to be? really great, really well known in what they do. Oprah Winfrey, Michael Jordan, Obama, Serena Williams, they have focused. They narrowed down and did less in order to do more. What are you going to do less of in order for you to do more of fill in the blank, whatever that fill in the blank is going to be? So this is the mindset that you have to develop. This is what I call the inside out mindset. I've talked about this many times from different angles. You can use this in business. You can use it in personal relationships. You use it in your own personal development, and you need to use it with your activity. Whatever you're doing on a day-to-day basis is finding the thing that works, or the thing that you want to work more than you want anything else to work. Again, that 25 and 5. Like Warren Buffett said in his exercise, it's not that you don't want to do the other 20 things on the list. It's just that these 5 things are more valuable. You want to do them more than you want to do the other 20. Pick what those are. And then this is the question that you're asking yourself. What is the thing that you most want to work, or that is most working right now? And then how can we expand on that thing that we just, now that we decided to focus on it? That's where you go. I heard a marketing guy say once that the key to really taking your business to scale, to where you can start really blowing it up and building into a big business, if that's what you're after, first of all, you got to figure out what you're selling, and you got to figure out how you're selling it. Those are the first 2 things you got to do to get your business to get to the point where you could even think about scaling the business. First of all, what exactly am I selling, and who exactly am I selling it to? If you don't know what you're selling or who you're selling it to, you probably can't you can't scale that business. Why would you want to scale a business if you don't know who you're selling it to? Well, you don't know who you're selling your products to, rather. And if you don't know what the product is, what exactly is the product that's driving this business, why would you want to scale that? You don't want to scale something that's not working already, and then you're just going to have a whole bunch more of not working functions. That's not going to make any sense. So what are you selling? Who you're selling it to? What is the area of focus, and how can we do more in that area? Scale comes only after you understand these things, is what this marketing guy says. Business don't expand until you've mastered what are we selling, who are we selling it to. The founders of Instagram, what they did. What are we selling? A photos app. Who are we selling it to? People who want to post photos. Maybe they had a more detailed explanation, but that's what it is. That's what Instagram became. Steve Jobs and Apple. What are we selling? The desktop, the laptop, the phone, and the... Why do I keep forgetting what the 4th thing is? The desktop, the laptop, and the phone. We'll just say that right now until I remember what the other thing is. If we want to say the tablet, I kind of consider the tablet an extension. It's kind of a hybrid between the computer and the phone, but that's the exact point. The iPod, I guess, was another thing before it became, the phone became that all in one. So what are we selling? Steve Jobs got it down to 3 or 4 products. Who are we selling it to? People who are going to buy into this culture of Apple. People who take the Apple stickers and put them on the back of their cars, or put them on their computers, or make sure everybody knows that they're part of this tribe. Figure that out, then you expand from there. Point number 3. Today's topic is how to do less in order to do more. If you are a person who lifts weights, you probably know this whole how this formula works when it comes to the weight room. Less is more, as they say in strength training. If you're trying to build bulk, if you're trying to build size, you want your muscles to be bigger, you want to look bigger, less is more in weightlifting. You build size and strength faster by lifting less often. You just need to be smart about what you lift. You do the right types of lifts less often, maybe with heavier weights, and you're going to get bigger. You're going to gain more size, not because you did more weightlifting, not because you spent more time in the gym, but because you spent less time in the gym. This is the 80-20 rule in effect. And you know the funny thing about the 80-20 rule is that a lot of people can't enact it because so many of us are so hardwired to do more, and we feel emotionally, we feel like we are not doing as much as we could be when we start actually performing this 80-20 rule. We're like, man, this is it. That's all I had to do. This is all the work. Like, there's no way my strength training session can only be 27 minutes when I'm used to being in here for an hour and a half. That's it. That's all I got to do. You feel like you're cheating, or you feel like you're shortchanging yourself, or you feel like you should be doing more. Maybe you feel like you have more time, more energy, more whatever, so you just have to use it. This is what human beings do. This is Parkinson's law. A task or job will expand to match the amount of time allotted and available to it. Therefore, what that means is if you're the type of person who likes to spend 2 hours a day in the weight room, and someone shows you the 80-20 rule, how you can get even better results by spending only 30 minutes in the weight room, now you got an extra hour and a half to use. And what many of us do because of our emotional connections to our habits is that we find a way to fill up that 90 minutes by doing even more stuff that basically destroys the gains that we would have gotten had we just followed the program properly. because we are emotionally connected to our habits. This is what happens with human beings. This is just part of our hard wiring. That's why I'm talking about this here today, because if all I was talking about was just doing what you're already hardwired to do, I wouldn't need to talk about it. I'm talking about it because you need to be conscious of how you're hardwired. Be conscious of the fact that you have certain habits that are not serving you for the outcomes that you want. And then you must take conscious control of those habits by doing something different consciously. It's not something that's going to just happen just because you're talking about it. This is the 80-20 rule. What are the 20% of your actions or ideas or people or customers that produce 80% of the results? What are they? If you don't know what they are, then this is the first step. Is first of all, you need to do some analysis of yourself, of your life, of your relationships, of your work, of your business, and find out what is actually producing the results. When I'm getting results, what is it that's happening? All right, how are those results happening? How am I making that happen? And you keep doing that. You keep 80-20ing what you're doing until you figure out the essential things, the focus, 25-5, as Warren Buffett said, that is actually producing the results. Once you have them identified, then you do more, but not more of everything, just more of the things, the 20, more of the 20, whatever that 20 happens to be. This is what it looks like and sounds like when you are being strategic rather than just doing a whole bunch of hard work or being tactical, reacting and responding to every single thing that happens as it happens. Strategy means, first of all, you got to figure out what you're doing, where you're trying to go, and then figure out what is actually going to get you there. And you're old enough to have some data. All right, if you're 18, you're 38, you're 45, you have some data to look at in your past that tells you exactly what's producing results. That's the thing that you need to be focused on. So let's recap today's topic, which is how to do less in order to do more. Every day we are exposed to more apps, ideas, books, information, podcast episodes, more things that we are made to believe that we are somehow missing out on. But my aim today is to show you how more is in many areas probably not what you need. You probably need less in order to gain focus. Then you do more. Point number 1, Warren Buffett's 25-5 exercise. Write down 25 things you want to do in your life, the most important 25 things. Then circle the 5 ones that are most important. Then cross out the other 20, never focus on them again, and only focus on that 5. A lot of us like to have our hands in many things, but if you could only choose one, or you only had to choose 5 of everything that you do, what would it be? And you can narrow this down. You can break this down into subcategories for every single thing you're focused on. Where are you getting the most joy? Where are you getting the highest ROI? What are you the best at? Where do people respond to you most enthusiastically? All of this narrows your focus. Point number 2, there was an app called Bourbon. There was a check-in app, had a lot of functions, and it wasn't going as well as the founders wanted it to go. So they stripped it down to the most valuable part of their app, the one that people were using the most, which was the photos section. They renamed the app from Bourbon to Instagram. Instant and Telegram put it together. The rest became history. That was in 2010. What happened? They focused. Steve Jobs, same thing. He came back to Apple after getting kicked out. He cut all the product lines. He cut a whole bunch of employees, focused on the computer. And at the time it was an iPod. The iPod eventually showed up. Then the phone came, and now it's the computers and the phone. That's pretty much it. And there's subcategories of those, but that's pretty much what Apple focuses on these days. And they're $1 billion company. So you don't have to have 1 billion products to make $1 billion. You just got to have focus, and then get that focus, whatever that product or whatever it is, out to as many people as you need to get it to so you can get the results you want. Scale comes after you figure out what you're selling and who you're selling it to. It's the same thing in your life. What are you doing? Who are you doing it for? Where are you doing it at? Where is the focus? Remember that 25-5 rule. Point number 3, if you lift weights, you understand that less is more. You want to build big muscles, you don't need to lift weights more often. You probably need to lift weights less often and less time each time you go into the gym. The problem for many of us human beings is that we are emotionally attached to our habits. We cannot emotionally stop ourselves from doing things that we've always been doing, which is why, in order for everything I've talked about here today to work for you, you must become consciously aware of your habits, then take conscious control of them by consciously doing something different. This is something that most humans never do, first of all, because they never think about it. Even those who do are not able to control their emotions and take control of them logically. As I said about emotions many times, they are great gas pedals but terrible steering wheels. Use your logic, use your strategic thinking to figure out which direction to go. Then you can press your emotion into it once you figure out what the focus is. Now, how do you get that focus really working for you and bring it to life in a tangible way? I suggest you get my book, The Mirror of Motivation, the Self-Guide, Self-Discipline. It's part of a 4-book series that I call the Bulletproof Bundle. My 4 best books on the mental game and on mindset, mental toughness, confidence, discipline, personal initiative that I talk about every day on the show. Get the Bulletproof Bundle at workonmygame.com/BB for Bulletproof Bundle. That's workonmygame.com/BB. Work on your game. Dre all day.